Hey guys, it's Tammy. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about demystifying perfumes. Whenever I hear someone talk about a perfume online, they have their own way of describing it. And it takes me getting a sample and smelling it, or going into the store and smelling it in store, for it to make sense to my brain and registering, and it becomes less of a mystery, and then I can understand the fragrance. I touched on this briefly in a sample sniff video that I did a while back, and in that video I talked about hearing about Balmain Carbone on a TikTok. And the way the girl on that TikTok described Carbone was in such a way that I felt that there was no other perfume on this planet that existed that was like that. It was so unique, so fantastical. And when I got the sample and smelled it, it reminded me a lot of Amouage Guidance in the dry down. It did open up a little different than Guidance. It had a much woodier opening, but it was when it started drying down and the gears in my brain started turning and the mystery started fading from it. And I was like, oh, it smells a lot like Guidance. Like the dry down has that same sandalwoody, musky sort of base. And that's what I love about sampling perfumes and smelling perfumes in general, is just classifying each perfume in my brain. And then I'd like to let you guys know what it smells like to me. And it might not smell like that to you. You need to smell it for yourself. When you get a sample and smell it for yourself, you demystify the perfume for yourself. And maybe it doesn't smell anything like what it smells like to me, to you. But I'm hoping that it can give you just a little idea of what something smells like. Another thing that sometimes happens for me is I will hear a perfume talked about a lot, and I will then forget what the reviewers said about it. I watch so many perfume videos that sometimes all these descriptions sort of all meld together and mix together in my brain, and I do forget what people said about them. And that's what happened to me with Sunset Caramel by Cave. For some reason in my head, all I could think of is that I remembered people saying it was fruity. I think the word sunset was making me think of pink and orange. And so I was thinking along the lines of fruity and caramel. So I was imagining it was going to be something like Mula Mula Double Caramel. And once I got it and smelled it, and maybe people had said this and I just forgot, but to me, it opened up smelling like Baby Cat. So a very peppery, incensey type of vanilla. And as it dried down over an hour or two, it was reminding me exactly of Blanche Bête by Les Liquides Imaginaires. So that is a very lactonic, pretty vanilla. I actually used to love that one, and it actually started going a little sour on my skin. So Blanche Bête and me sort of parted ways at the sample stage. Thankfully, I didn't end up buying a full bottle before that sourness started coming out on my skin, but that's another story. That's what happened with Sunset Caramel. I was like, oh, this is going to be fruit and caramel. Like, to me, that sounds like an amazing combination. And again, maybe people who reviewed it didn't say that, but I think I just got it in my own head that was how it was going to smell. And when I smelled it, I was so shocked and surprised. I was getting this very rich, earthy, peppery vanilla. And then when it dried down to smell so much like Blanche Bête, I was like, oh, okay, now I understand the fragrance. Now that mystery and that wondering is sort of dissipated. It's almost like it puts my mind at ease. I always have this FOMO when it comes to fragrances. I don't want to miss out on something special, because when there is a fragrance that I cannot demystify for myself, I usually fall in love with it. Fragrances that I can't figure out and can't describe and can't explain are the ones I usually fall in love with, because they're not just, I can't just categorize them. They stay mysterious for me. And those are the type of perfumes that I love, those ones that stay mysterious for me. You know how much I love Versace Crystal Noir. And to me, that perfume is still a bit of a mystery. I really can't describe it properly at all, even though it is what I consider my signature scent. Not that I wear it often enough for it to be a signature scent, because I have so many perfumes, I can't get to them all. But I do consider it like my all-time favorite scent. And I can't describe it. It's sort of a mystery to me, and that's what I love about it. Now, when there's a fragrance that is really hyped up and people are talking about it all over the place, I do try to get away to the mainland. It's a 2-hour ferry ride for me to get to the mainland, and then a 45-minute drive to the nearest mall where I can go to Sephora or Shoppers Drug Mart and smell a fragrance in person. So that has to coincide with me having to go away to run errands. I'm actually going away today on the 3:30 boat. We're staying overnight in a hotel. We have errands. We have to go see our accountant on Friday. We have to go to the dentist and a bunch of things. So we're going to make a little trip out of it and go to dinner tonight. But most importantly, we're going to go, well, I'm going to go and sniff perfumes. The new Donna Born in Roma Ivory by Valentino has been really talked about a lot. There's been mixed opinions on whether it's worth it or not worth it. And so last time I was away, I did get the chance to go to the store and smell it for myself. Well, I really demystified that for myself. It did smell like, it honestly smelled to me like a much lighter version of Love Don't Be Shy. I got sort of a little bit of marshmallowy, orange blossomy, sweet scent. It just was very ordinary to me. There are people who really love it. And for those people, I'm not saying it's not special and it's not wonderful, but I was able to demystify it in my own brain. And so I knew that I didn't need it. It did smell sort of like an ordinary sweet floral scent that you smell very often. I also went into Shoppers Drug Mart and I specifically asked if I could smell the new La Vie Belle Flanker Vanille Nude. And she sprayed it on paper. I smelled it, and to me, it was just a very intensely sweet, very sweet vanilla fragrance. And she asked if I wanted her to spray it on my skin, and I was like, no thanks. It's okay, I'll just keep the paper. It just was much too sweet for me, and La Vie Belle is pretty sweet for me, and it was that same level of sweetness, but without as much sharpness from the patchouli. It was just more sweet and less patchouli. But it doesn't matter how many times I smell something and I'm like, oh, it's just this. I still want to smell everything new that comes down the pike. For example, there is a new, what is the one? A Devotion flanker called, I think it's My Devotion. And I just want to smell that so bad. I'm hoping that when I go away today, I'll have the chance to smell it. And it doesn't even matter to me if I do sort of figure the fragrance out and it's just like, oh, that's just ordinary. It's still so satisfying to me because you never know when you're going to find one that you absolutely fall in love with. Maybe My Devotion will be an absolute love for me. I remember Jasmine Freak, when it came out, everybody was freaking out over it. And I just wanted to smell it so bad. And when I did smell it, to me, it smelled a lot like Guerlain Terracotta, just your very classic sunscreeny yellow floral. And I had actually sold terracotta because the florals got a little too strong in that for me. I just wasn't enjoying it anymore. And so, I don't know, it's so satisfying to me to know that I don't need a perfume. But there are other times, for example, Love-o-Matic, which is also from room 1015, as Jasmine Freak is. I smelled that recently, and smelling it up close, it was just like, oh, this is kind of pretty. But it was when I was just wearing it and forgot that I was wearing it, and I would catch whiffs in the air. It was just taking my breath away with how beautiful it was and how perfect it was and how much I loved it. And so I do have a full bottle of that on the way, and I'm really excited to get that because it's the experience of wearing it. It's just different than anything else. Not really, it's not different than anything else, but to me, it's not something that I already own, and it creates an experience where I just smell the most clean, lightly fruity, musky feeling all around me. And I like it better than a lot of the other fruity musks that I've ever smelled, like Musk Therapy, Mont Blanc Signature. I do really love that. Actually, I almost did get that once, and I still would consider getting it. But any of those musky, fruity scents, a lot of them blend together, but there's just something about Love-o-Matic that just compelled me and drew me to purchase it. And I do have a list of other fragrances that were once a mystery and now I have sort of figured out. But the main fragrance that I want to talk about today, and the whole reason I made this video, is a scent by Better World Fragrances, and this is Summer Mink. And I heard this was Drake's new company, or I think it's either his company or his fragrance. It's somehow in collaboration with Drake. Some of you know I do love rap music. Most of my phone is all hip hop and rap. And he is from Canada. And so it just made me really interested to try this one. I think what added to the mystery of this fragrance was how hard it was to get a hold of. You could not get a travel size on the Better World website. And apparently it was available at Ulta, I believe. It must have been Ulta because I know that they don't ship to Canada, and I wasn't planning on going to the States. I do actually live fairly close to the border. If I took the ferry and instead of driving 45 minutes one way, I drove 40 minutes the other way, I would be at the border. So I'm actually pretty close to the US. But it just became such a mystery to me because I didn't want to purchase a full bottle. It was fairly expensive. That's not what I do. If anyone wants to do that, I 100% support you and I love it for you, but I just don't do that. I just don't enjoy doing that. It's too stressful for me. So I just wanted a little sample. And finally on Facebook, I saw this decant come up of Summer Mink. I wanted to say that I have not worn this yet because I don't like it. I'm so glad that I did not do a blind buy on this, I'll tell you that. But it was the way people were describing it that really threw me for a loop. And again, I may have forgotten some of the things that reviewers have said about it because everything muddles together in my brain. I watch so many videos. But what I remember about this is just people saying it opened really citrusy, it was musky, it was woody. I really did not understand the fragrance from the descriptions. Not that they were not describing them very well. I'm sure they were, and that's exactly what they were getting from it. But my brain was not registering what did this smell like. And I didn't want to trust the reviews on Fragrantica. They were saying that it smelled like Love-o-Matic, and I'm like, well, that can't be right. That's not what I'm hearing described. So I was so excited when I had the chance to purchase a decant of Summer Mink. And when I first took the cap off and sprayed it out, I have to just say that it smells exactly like Lancome Love-o-Matic to me. Now, you may get something completely different from that, and that is what's interesting about fragrance, and that's why it's so fun, is because it is a mystery, and you never know what someone else is going to get from a fragrance compared to what you get from a fragrance, because it's often very different. But to me, this smells like the OG Fruituli Love-o-Matic. Just a very fruit and patchouli. That's what I get from it. Is there fruit or patchouli listed? No. No. Well, actually, there's citruses. There is citruses. Citruses are fruits. But I was picturing, like, when I'm smelling this, I'm picturing black currant. I'm picturing like a really intensely sweet type of scent. It just smells like black currant and patchouli to me. That combination, that's exactly what it smells like. So you just never do know when you look on Fragrantica whether the reminds me of section is going to be accurate. But in this case, I totally agree with the Love-o-Matic comparison. I mentioned recently that I am trying to help my son find a new signature scent. And when I told him that Drake had a fragrance, he was like, oh, I really want to smell that. So I got him to smell it and he's like, that's super feminine. I don't want to wear that. This is actually known for being completely unisex, but I agree with my son. I find it very feminine leaning. And a few days later, I said to him, do you want to try out Summer Mink just to try it? So he gave it another smell. And he said, it's just too feminine. And that was just his first impression. All that to say this, I have not worn it yet, as I said, and I could get a completely different experience from wearing it than just spraying on a piece of paper and spraying it on the back of my hand and taking a whiff every once in a while, catching whiffs in the air, or even just like spraying it into the air. I don't want to do that right now because I don't want the room to smell like Love-o-Matic. No, but if I just spray it in the air and like get the smell of it, it could be completely different when I wear it on my skin. So I am going to do a full wear test of this sometime, but I have to be in the mood because every time I take the cap off and smell it, I'm like, oh, I don't really want to smell like this. So I'm just really happy and grateful that I had the chance to demystify Summer Mink for myself because it really had me wondering, and I just couldn't stop thinking about it at certain points. I was like, what does that smell like? I just can't tell from the descriptions what this would really smell like. And just to smell it and just to, you know, have Love-o-Matic like flood over my entire being and be like, oh yes, that's what it is. It was just a relief. It just felt like, I could sigh, I could breathe it more deeply. I don't know, are you guys like that? Do you just like feel the need that you need to smell something and then once you finally know, you can just sort of breathe a sigh of relief? So that was just a fun little video on perfumes that were such a mystery to me, and I feel like I solved the case. So let me know in the comments below, are there any fragrances that were such a mystery to you? And when you smelled it, you were like, ah, okay, now I see. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.